Happy to get a little scouting report here on the Chattanooga Mocs from Josh Rowe. He's the news and sports anchor at the ABC and Fox affiliates in Champaign. Josh, welcome and appreciate you joining us. What's the vibe around Chattanooga with the Mocs getting to the NCAA tournament on a historic shot by David Jean-Baptiste?
The city is excited, and I mean, clearly, we had watched this team. They've been good since the start of the season, but they also have gotten better throughout the year. And to see them win the tournament, the conference tournament, the way they did, it just turned it up about two more notches. At least two, if not more than that. And they went to Asheville. Most of us expected them to go there and play well, and maybe even win the whole thing, as they were the regular season champ. Obviously, you get the tournament, who knows what's going to happen. But to win in the fashion that they did, clearly, dialed it up a few notches for sure. So a lot of people in Chattanooga are excited to see what happens this weekend.
Well, first, let's dive into Lamont Paris a little bit. No name in the Big Ten, longtime assistant at Wisconsin under Bo Ryan. It's kind of been a steady climb for him, right? How has he gotten, Chattanooga back to this point of being back in the tournament?
Yeah, so that story is interesting, right? So he interviewed, as I understand it here, when Will Wade left, right? Will Wade left here, went to VCU, and then went on to LSU and just lost that job, obviously, as a lot of us know. He interviewed for the job then, did not get the job. Matt McCall got that job. McCall had a pretty good first year. Second year, not as good, but still got a job at UMass on the left. So Paris comes in 2 years after, and the way he explained it is the program was not the same program that it was 2 years prior when Will Wade left, and so he had some things to fix. Now, on top of that, his AD that hired him 2 months later leaves the program, and so there's a lot. There were roster issues, there were some academic issues, and so his first couple of seasons here were really trying to kind of rebuild in some ways and trying to get a footing on exactly what he had. So yeah, if you look at this is his fifth year here. His best finish before this year was fourth in the conference. And you look at that and say, well, that's not very impressive. But if you look at where the program has come, it has been a steady climb to this point. I think this year was probably better than some expected because there are some new names added to the roster. Silvio de Souza, obviously the biggest of those names, but he really built this team over the years, a little bit at a time, and kind of gradually got them better and better and better to this point.
Well, they got good guard play. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it starts with a Belleville, Illinois native down by St. Louis. Malachi Smith played with EJ Liddell, Keith Randolph, who's an Illinois football player. How is he, since transferring to Wright State, what has made him so good there in the SoCon?
Yeah, he's since showing up here, he's been very strong. I mean, and the offense runs through him. He can do a lot of different things with the ball in his hands. He's SoCon Player of the Year in the regular season. Led the team in scoring the last two seasons. Can shoot it from outside. Can put it on the floor. I mean, he really is kind of the glue that holds the whole thing together. But it's not just Malachi Smith, but he's a big part of it. David Jean-Baptiste, who is the other guard on this team. This team really is a really nice mix, right, of some upperclassmen who have been in the program a long time. David Jean-Baptiste has been here. He was a redshirt in 2016, so this is his 6th year in the program, right? When he was a freshman, Paris, inherited him when he took over the program. He's been in the program that long. So those two guys are, really good guards, especially for a mid-major type of team. Really strong guards, big guards. Baptiste is 6'1". He's the shortest of the starters, but he's a thicker, stronger, guard. And then the D'Souza, as I mentioned as well. Those three players are really kind of as they go, the team goes. And so yeah, it really does. The whole team has a very nice mix some transfers like Malachi Smith, like DeSouza, and some guys who have been with the program since they were in high school. So yeah, it really is a interesting mix of guys and kind of the makeup of a team that you could see, that a mid-major type team that might make a run in the tournament, might win a couple of games in the tournament. Yeah, they really have that makeup.
Well, you mentioned, Kofi Coburn, I don't know how many people can handle him, but they do have Sosa who can compete with him, right? A former top 40 prospect himself. Kansas obviously didn't go very well there, but how has he acclimated himself and what has he meant to them? And what does he mean to them going up against Coburn on Friday?
Yeah, a lot actually. Yeah, when I think the Mocs have won 14 of 17, and 2 of those 3 losses to the Sosa wasn't in the game, right? It didn't play. He had some nicks and whatnot, and so and that's the truth. So I think they've lost 7 games, and 4 of those losses they've not had one of those 3 main players, right? So if those 3 guys are on the court and those 3 guys are doing what they're supposed to do, the team's much better. But yeah, DeSouza is your guy down low. He's the difference maker in that role. And you mentioned his run at Kansas. And yes, he had some trouble there, and that's well documented. Several different or a couple of different instances there. Here, there's been if he's done anything that's wrong, it's not made it to the media, right? We don't know about it. So as far as we know, and we can tell and what we've seen on the court and these kind of things, he's been doing the right things since he got here. The players that we've talked to through the season, seem to like him as a teammate and those kind of things. And so, yeah, he's a big part of this team. He is a big presence down low, and he is the nice inside out complement to those 2 guards we talked about.
Now you got to have role players step up if you want to upset a high major team.
Sure.
So, I know AJ Caldwell, David Banks, who are some of the role players? What do they do? What do they need to do against Illinois?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, right? You got about 8 guys on this team who are in double-digit minutes every night, right? And beyond that, it drops off. And so, yeah, the big difference between a Chattanooga and an Illinois or any of these teams from major conferences is the number of guys they have on their bench and who get real playing time. Yeah, you mentioned Caldwell. Banks is another one. There are also guys who've been in the program for a few years and do play a big role. And you never want to say it's about just 3 players, because it's never about 3 players, right? If you don't have guys in there that are doing the other things and stepping up for every night, it doesn't work. So yeah, all of those guys beyond those 3 play a big role and can do some nice things and crash the boards and get points. But really, it's if you're looking for what might be the thing that doesn't let them match up to an Illinois or some other team in there, it is probably just the depth down the roster. What does it look like past that second or third guy on the bench? And then there are guys who get average 6 minutes a night, those kind of things. But it really that's probably the difference there as far as you looking at roster to roster for sure.
Josh, how do they want to play? Like, what's their style of play when things are going well?
So like they're a big team, right? David Jean-Baptiste is 6'1". All the other starters are 6'4" or taller. They're long, they're physical. The physical guard play, I think is a big trademark of this team. They're going to push you around a little bit. They're not going to really back down from people. That's not their style. If you watch any of their games in the SoCon tournament, that's how the first couple of games they played were not very close, to be honest with you, because they get out and they get physical with you. And so that you're going to see that a lot. And you're probably going to see that come Friday as well. If you watch that championship game against Furman, they didn't shoot the ball well at all in that first half. And I think David Jean-Baptiste was 3 of 10, I think from 3, 5 of 14, something like that from the field. That's how that game got to be an overtime game, got to be a buzzer beater game, because what you did in the first half, when the court credit to Furman, right? Furman showed up, played them hard, right? But also the shots also were not falling. And that's the thing about this team. You know, if Malachi Smith and David Jean-Baptiste are not hitting the shots, that's a problem for this team. So you're going to see them try to be big and physical and try to push you around a little bit, and you're going to see them, you know, run their offense through Malachi Smith and try to shoot the ball outside. That's one of the things that they do well, both those guys, and they'll dribble drive on you, and they'll get inside to Sosa as well. But really, if they're not hitting their outside shots, they're not the same team. They're just not.
Well, Seth Davis is very confident in this Chattanooga team, and I'm sure, man, that had to be thrilling to hear if you're a Mocs fan out there.
Yeah.
Illinois probably didn't take so well to it.
Right.
But why is this? Why could this be a team that is the upset pick, or could, you know, upset a team that some people at times have thought could be elite, but just hasn't been quite as consistent as those good teams? So why should Illinois be nervous about Chattanooga?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I don't know why they should be nervous necessarily, other than the things we've always talked about. When you hear like a national commentator make that, you almost like, you know, get excited, but you're also like, oh, do you want that? You know, do you want that kind of pressure that
Want to sneak up on people, right?
Yeah, right. And so, yeah, you don't want people to see you coming. Now everybody knows, you know, that there's at least some people in the country who think this team is supposed to be pretty good, and they are pretty good. But they are, and so yeah, I think that's a good question. This team, we mentioned, right, 5th year for Lamont Paris here, and you know, look at those past teams and think, okay, last year was their best year up until this point since he's been the head coach, and they were a 4th place team, and then okay, now all of a sudden they're first place team, win the regular season, win the tournament. This team from the jump, from the first game of the season, went to LA to LMU and got a win on the road on the West Coast, right? Not a great team necessarily in LMU this year, but just for a team that's really not had a ton of success the last few years, and all out of the gate, you get a road win first game. Okay. Well, they won their first 5. They beat VCU at VCU on a buzzer beater from Malachi Smith. So there's really not been a big fall off. Like I said, 7 losses on the season. And some of those, like I said, I think 4 of the 7, they didn't have one of their big 3 in the game. I believe that's the right, number there. So why they could win? Because they've been a good team from start to finish. They're not a team that just got hot down the stretch and they're playing great. They are playing great. They've won 14 out of 17. They're big and physical. That they do all those things. So that's a big part of it. It's just that this team has just been good all season long, and this team has put things together at the right time as well. So it's a mix really of all that. And you know, I think people here have there's a history with the Chattanooga Mocs, right? I think 97 was the last time UTC went to the Sweet 16. They beat Illinois to do that. People talk about that team here in this town, you know, every year, right? That's the benchmark this team is compared to. They haven't been to the tournament since 16. Haven't been to the tournament since Lamont Paris has been here. And so I think there's a little bit of a hunger in that too. Okay, you know, we know what our history is. We've been there before. We've been to the tournament and had a run, although it was, 97, a long time ago, but still, I think there's a little bit of this team this program does have some history and a desire to get back at that level again and do some of those things again.
Josh, I know you're in the middle of SEC territory, Tennessee, Georgia, and Carolinas, all that. But what is the support for a school like Chattanooga? What's the fan base like there?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because in this town, you definitely have a very good split of Vols and Bulldogs and Alabama support. And it's different in basketball season, to be honest with you, right? Because in football season, it's almost like maybe half Tennessee and half Georgia with a little bit of Alabama in there just because Alabama's Alabama, right? But during basketball season, it's a lot more Tennessee Vols talk than anything else. And maybe that's just because Georgia's just been down the last few years, obviously. But here in the city itself, that's where your Mocs fans are. And I'll be honest with you. I wish that more people were there in the stands in December than as now, like when you win the tournament, like you've won it, and you like, oh my gosh, this team is good. And there's a lot of people, oh yeah, now I believe in it. You wish that the place is packed from December on, and it's not that way. But this town does support this team and has really gotten behind it. And I think they'll travel pretty well. I really do. Lamont Paris mentioned the other day, he's from Ohio and he's got Big Ten ties, and so he'll have some people there as well. And they leave tomorrow, and I think there's a big contingent who will be there when they leave. And I think a lot of folks are going to make the trip up to Pittsburgh and hopefully stay there for a couple of days. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, when even national voices are saying, hey, this is one to watch, I think that's a lot to the Chattanooga Mocs. Well, Josh Rowe, news and sports anchor, ABC and Fox affiliate in Chattanooga. Thanks for getting us up to speed on the Mocs, man.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me. Good to see you, man.